So I'm Bryce Papenbrook. I'm a voice actor. I've been doing this since I was 8 years old, following the footsteps of my dad.
Cool.
He worked on all sorts of projects. One of his bigger ones was Power Rangers. He was Rita Revolto. And I got into the industry. I was watching him work one day, and the director said, "Hey, we need a kid." And my dad's like, "Oh, he's a kid. He's a pro. Throw him in there." And I got thrown in the booth, and that's how I started in the industry. And since then, I've been fortunate enough to be very busy and get a number of roles under my belt. And excited to say that this year has been my best year as a voice actor, my busiest year. And there's a bunch of stuff that I can't talk about yet, but I'm super excited about. So watch for it coming out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got just an hour to hang out. If you guys have any questions for me about my career, about voice acting, about whatever, anything, let me know. Yeah, we'll start right here.
Since there's not a lot of us, we're gonna repeat what we did today, I hope.
What do you mean, like
2 a.m. watching Sword Art?
Yes, we have that scheduled. We're gonna watch it earlier to make it a little easier on people. We're gonna do it at 10:15 at the video room. We have tonight's Toonami episode ready to go. So we'll just watch like the DVD version or a stream version of the episode in English. I think it's episode 10 tonight, 9 or 10. It's getting up there.
Well, we saw, what, 4?
It was 4 at AFO.
It's been about a month. So yeah, it's 10, 9 or 10 somewhere around.
It's getting pretty far up there. Who's familiar with Sword Art Online?
Yep.
Cool, almost everyone. If you guys haven't seen it, it'd be kind of interesting to start that far into the series, but it'll be fun to hang out. Jeremy will be there tonight, so.
Where is it?
It's if you go up the stairs right here and walk all the way down the hall, the first door past the elevators.
Okay.
It's the video room. You can't
Video
miss
room,
the sign.
yeah.
There's like a big sign that says Sword
And it's
Art
at
Online
10:15.
Yeah.
Okay, tonight.
Yeah, I don't know how big the room is, so you might want to get there and grab a good seat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be fun. It's always awesome to watch with everybody. It's like a different feeling than like watching the show by yourself.
Right.
Because you like feed off the energy of the crowd and like you can like talk about it in
I think it's great to watch it here. Everybody loves it. So.
Yeah.
That's why my mom would always do like movie nights with my little brother and my mom on Friday, because we always come back from work and we're always exhausted. So we're like, since we want to build up the fun, let's have a movie.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's always different, you know, doing like watching something with people, and especially people that have worked on the project. It's always fun because you kind of get like the inside scoop of what that person was thinking when they delivered a line, or kind of what was going on behind the scenes. So we'll be sure to share all that. And I think tonight's episode is, if you're familiar with the Japanese, I think it's the Ragu Rabbit episode. It's a good one. Yeah.
Like, I'm curious, like, how did you get the role of Green for Blue Exorcist?
I auditioned just like every other role. I get sent sides and sometimes a short clip, and because it's already done in Japanese, I hear what the Japanese actor did. And what I always try to do is create something a little different, something new, but be inspired by the Japanese actor. So I heard the Japanese actor, and I had my sides, and I read for it, and they thought I'd be a good match. And we actually recorded episodes 1 and 2 about a year before the series got picked up. I'm not sure if they didn't know if it would have a big enough fan base or what, but I mean, it was huge in Japan, and it's awesome that it's so popular in the US too. I mean, it's a fantastic show. The movie is really cool. If you haven't seen the movie.
Oh,
Yeah, the movie was supposed to be awesome.
It's really,
There's
really
a-
good.
There's a movie?
Florida, I would go there.
I know, it was just in theaters
Sword
in
Art?
like select cities. I don't know how they chose the cities, but
That's cool.
I think it's coming out on DVD in December.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your birthday month, awesome. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Episode 10, cool, yeah.
I need to watch
It's
that.
crazy up to 14. I won't spoil anything for you who haven't seen it, but it's a crazy show. So yeah, I auditioned.
Yeah. Audition,
for
audition,
the part.
audition.
Just like Kirito, I read for the role, and was fortunate enough to get cast. It's always the most difficult part, I feel, of the job because you're reading against so many other people, and most of the time, like, I audition from my house. So no one else is there, it's just me. I'll read the lines, I'll listen back to them, I'll say, oh, that's not good enough, I'll do it again, and I'll make an MP3 and then send it in, and most of the time, you don't hear anything back. You get no feedback, no adjustments. So I tell people, if you're booking 1 out of 100 auditions, you're doing great in this industry. It's that competitive. So it's sort of nerve-wracking knowing that you put your heart into something and send it out, and you might not even hear like, oh, just adjust this one line and then it'll be great. You don't hear anything back. So you're just kind of shooting them out there and hoping for something to work.
Yeah.
And fortunately with, those awesome characters, I hit something that clicked and they liked it and brought me in to record.
You did a good job at Sam.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
series.
you. He's really one of my favorite characters. I feel like I can kind of connect with him a lot on a lot of different levels. So yeah, that show is just one of my favorite.
Great.
Yeah.
You have really nice voice.
Thank you.
And I don't know, like I've heard my own voice sometimes because I've done singing in the past, and it was like, oh god, what is that madness? So like, how do you get over that, like listening to your own voice and not liking it? Because I know not a lot of people when they hear their voice, they don't like it.
Yeah, that's a good
Like,
question.
Did you ever have that?
Yeah, definitely. I'll record stuff and I'll just be like, it's not great. But have other people give you feedback. Because sometimes your voice sounds different to other people. I don't know, it's kind of a strange thing. But yeah, I don't always love the stuff that I put out when I hear it back. But then other people are like, oh, that sounds great. That sounds really good. So you just have to find someone that you really trust and take their feedback and always sort of improve and move forward. It's all about growth. No matter what point you get to as an actor, you're always growing. So for me, the rest of this year, I'm sort of trying to reinvent myself and grow even more. And I'm going to redo my demo, redo my website. Just always trying to move forward and get better and reinvent yourself, because you can't just stay in one spot or do the same thing forever. You'll never last. So find someone who you trust, who will tell you the truth if it sounds good or bad. Because if someone says, oh, that sounds horrible, that could be great. Maybe it sounds terrible. And then you can work it and make it sound better and improve. So yeah, find someone who you trust and get some good feedback.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you get your role in Fire Emblem Awakening?
Same kind of thing.
Like, what is the game all about? Like, I've heard many people talk about Fire Emblem. Is that the name of the game?
Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, like, what's that game all about?
You could probably tell better than I could.
Okay, well, I'm not a very good summarizer, but I'll do the best I can. Well, it's mostly about the army, the shepherds with Prince Crom and the shepherds, and they find out there are zombies coming out of the area called the Risen. So they have to find a way to get rid of them. And then later on, they recruit some characters like Farajar, his character, Henry, and others too, Gaius. And then they later found out that Grima was returning, and you play an avatar where you get to customize whatever you want it to look like, well, except clothes. You can do a lot of things with your avatar, like marry someone. Like, I know I had a few friends who did Henry. And then you later found out that your avatar is connected to Grima, the evil dragon. So they get the help from Naga, and they had to collect the Fire Emblem stones in order to awaken the sword. And then in the end, they killed him. Oh, wow. I'm not
No
gonna
spoilers, but it's a turn-based RPG, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's where you get to select your party, like whatever you want.
Cool. Those games are always good times. Those are always fun. I grew up playing RPGs.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yes.
That was my game.
That's the
What's your favorite number?
I mean, I started with number 1, but I think 3 is my favorite. I think it's 3 and 6 are the same game. So I think that's my favorite. But I played 7 also.
I love
Seven,
seven,
my
my
number seven.
favorite.
And I really need to pick up 9 because I'm Zidane and I've never played 9.
Zidane.
I say his name. Zidane. Same guy.
You're in Dissidia though.
I am. Because he didn't speak in 9. But he spoke in Dissidia and then the second version of Dissidia.
Well, it's a prequel. Well, but still, it's 012 or Duodecimum 012.
Duodecim. There you go. So yeah, it's cool to be part of that franchise. All right, I think I saw a question over here.
I was gonna ask you about Zidane, but you already covered that.
Oh, I mean,
Usually 9.
I can talk about him more. I went in to record that game, and they use code names, so they don't tell you what you're working on. So I started recording the character, and I saw him, but I had never played 9, so I didn't recognize him. But he looked Final Fantasy-esque. So I was like, what are we doing? And then I think I had a line against Cloud or like one of the characters I recognized right away, and I'm like, this is Final Fantasy, like this is what we're doing. And then they told me, and I was like, yes! And I was holding back like,
Yes, really.
the fanboying. I was trying to hold it back. I'm just like, Final Fantasy, this is so cool. I mean, it's just a dream job to be part of that franchise.
I recommend that. It's my personal favorite. So then finding out you had played Zidane, that was like, oh wow, that's really cool. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and he's such a fun character. He's just, witty and teases all the girls, and it was great. Yeah.
My favorite line from him was like when he was talking to Furion about his dream of the rose, and he's like, "Is that your princess?" And Furion's like, "That's my favorite part of the scene."
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to branch out into live action or live person acting?
That's a good question.
People have told me like try to get into on screen. I tried it a little bit when I was younger, and it's in LA. Traffic is ridiculous. For commercial acting and on-screen acting, obviously you have to show up and be at an audition, and they always happen to be in Santa Monica at 4 o'clock. I live in the Valley, which is just over the hill from there, and it takes like an hour, just over an hour to get there. And then you're in a room with 20 people who look just like you to go in and say one word, and they go, "Thank you, see you later." You do that 100 times, and hopefully you cross your fingers to get one. It starts to get a little frustrating. So when I was doing that, I just didn't love it as much as voice acting. I feel like the camera is also a little different than the microphone. Like I'm so comfortable in front of the microphone just because I grew up around being in a booth and speaking. But when I get in front of a camera, I just don't feel as comfortable. It's like a different skill. So we do like interviews sometimes after projects are done. Like we just did an interview for the Blu-ray for Sword Art. And the camera's right there, and it's just, I don't know, I'm not as comfortable in front of that camera. I'm getting better, and maybe in the future, if I feel a drive to go for it, I might. But right now, I'm just happy being a voice actor. I really have fun when I go into the studio. So we'll go here, and then back there, and then over here.
I just wanted to ask, how was it playing on Durarara? I thought that was cool that you played that character.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like, it was perfect.
Who's familiar with Durarara?
Yes, thank you.
Pretty much everyone. So,
Yes, it's awesome.
I'm Maso Mikita.
Yes.
Leader of the Yellow Scars.
Leader of the Yellow Scars,
Yes.
yes. Another great character.
Yes.
I love it.
Gets to call a girl with big boobs boobylicious.
I love him.
That was amazing. So when we were recording that scene, the word boobylicious wasn't in the script.
Oh, you mean?
Okay,
oh,
it was
yeah.
something else. I mean, because the translation from Japanese was not boobylicious. It was something else. I mean, mentioning her chest, but it was written some other way. So the director, Christy, and Chiroe from Aniplex, they were discussing it and trying to figure out, what we can do and how can we, describe her. And I was like, well, bootylicious, that's a funny word. And they're like, well, she's not really bootylicious. I mean, she's kind of bigger in the chestal region. Wait a second. And Christy came up with boobylicious, and we were just like, that is perfect. That is the perfect word to describe Henri. So boobylicious made the show.
Yeah. I just love it how he's like so basically open and like also kind of sarcastic, and everybody's okay with it. It's just like,
yeah, I mean,
like,
he's another really interesting character. I think he's sort of putting on a front, like he's so like outward and open like that because he has so much inside that he's hiding.
Yeah.
And it's interesting as it goes through the show how sort of his darker side and his past starts to come out.
Yeah.
And that was really fun for me. That was when I didn't watch the show in Japanese before I recorded. So every time I came into the booth and was working, I was surprised, by what was going on. So I didn't get that he was a gang leader. I didn't get that from when I started. I didn't know that when I started with the character. So it was cool for me to see that twist and to be able to play his dark side. Whereas for Blue Exorcist and Sword Art, I watched the entire series in Japanese first. So I knew what was coming.
I didn't know that.
And it's actually really rare that an actor is able to watch the series before.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you're playing like a supporting role, you go into the studio and you have no idea what project you're working on. So you walk in and they say, okay, we're going to go to episode 25. You're going to be playing Guy B and line 324. Let's play it for you once. All right, go ahead. And that's all you get. Yeah. You come up with a voice real quick, and then you got to work. You got to make something up or think on your toes. So it's a different kind of challenge than when you know what's going to happen. So for Ren and Kirito, it was really cool, a really cool experience, and I like doing it that way more. Because for Kita, I think back and maybe I would have played lines a little differently if I knew what was going to happen. But I liked how it turned out, so you can't go back and change it later.
I thought that cast was perfect. Like usually I watch like Sword Art Online, and this is my first time like really getting into the Japanese and then being like, okay, well it's dubbed. Who's gonna be playing? And then I watched it and I was like, these guys are really good.
That's awesome.
Because usually I kind of separate it sometimes.
I know it's always challenging when you watch the Japanese first, and then you go back and watch the series again in English because you're so comfortable with the Japanese voices. So sometimes it's like,
I think it's better when you do dubbed and then subbed. Like get more.
But it'll be the same thing if you watch it dubbed and then you watch the Japanese. It might be like, well, I prefer the dub because you're comfortable with that voice. So whenever you do that, I always tell people like, give it some time. Like forget about the first time you watch the show and give it some time and see, the differences. There should be the same sort of essence, but it shouldn't come off exactly the same.
Right.
Because if I was to voice match these Japanese actors, I can get close to their voices, but we choose to do it differently.
Right.
Because it wouldn't make sense to have the same reactions or say exactly what they're saying, because sometimes the subtleties and the jokes just wouldn't be funny. Yeah, it wouldn't mesh with the U.S. audience.
The dialogue wouldn't make
the dialogue wouldn't flow well.
Yeah.
So we try to adapt it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the director for Sword Art and for Blue Exorcist, he's also the adapter.
Yeah.
I feel like he does an amazing job because I watched Sword Art in Japanese, and the second arc in particular, I liked it, but when I saw it again in English, all the little subtleties came out, and I liked it even more. So I get a lot of people that are like, what do you think of the second arc? Oh, it's not as good. And I'm like, well, watch it again in English. Give it a chance, because I don't speak Japanese. All I can do is read subtitles. And it just didn't, the jokes didn't click.
Yeah.
The little things that you're supposed to pick up on and the subtleties and the hints didn't click with me. And I enjoyed it a lot more when I saw it in English.
Like really quick, is it true that in Japanese, like the mouth flaps, it's different? Like when you dub it, for Japanese, like the way they dub it, they don't have doesn't have to look like you guys have to work 10 times harder to kind of. I mean, that's what I've researched. I don't know.
It depends on the project. So with dubbing, when it comes to us, there's no way of changing the animation.
Right.
So obviously, you don't want it to look like Godzilla, where the character is talking and then the voice doesn't match at all.
Yeah.
Like you want it to look like the voice is coming from the character,
Right.
and it should make sense.
Right.
And I know sometimes you see the Japanese dialogue and it fits perfectly, and sometimes you watch it and you hear the audio and you're like, what are they doing? Like the character is not making that. They don't look like they should be making that noise. What happened?
Yeah.
But you know, it's different.
It's different.
There's a whole team that does the Japanese project and a director, and they have a vision for it, and maybe they got a take that they really love the audio sound of, and the animators just didn't match it perfectly.
Yeah.
You never know why it doesn't match perfectly. But when we start working on the project, we do our best to get the lips to match
Right.
as closely as possible.
Right.
Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes, you know, a Japanese word will be 2 syllables, and they say 10 English words, so how are you supposed to get 10 words
Oh,
in 2
wow.
flaps? You just can't.
Yeah.
So it's all up to the adapter and the writer and,
Right.
and the director to make it work.
Right.
And still keep the story moving forward and make sense.
That's cool.
So hold on, I know we were moving. It was your turn next, yeah. I like doing both. They both have their challenges and both have things that are fun. With dubbing, it's awesome that you can watch the show and speak and see your voice coming out of the character. With video games, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes, so I was Asbel in Tales of Graces, and Tales games are massive games. So I had 3,600 lines in that game. My script was literally a book. Like it was multiple binders of scripts. So I spent an entire summer recording this game. You know, and you're by yourself in a room, just saying these lines, and a lot of time playing off other characters, so you have to kind of imagine how that person would deliver the line, especially if you're the first one in. So that dialogue hasn't been recorded yet. You just have to imagine what that person would say to you and give back an answer. Or set them up in a way that they can answer you properly. So you're not seeing any picture for the most part. I mean, in Tales there was some picture work, and the majority of it was timed. So they would say, this line has to be under a second. Oh, that one's too long. Okay, that's too short. Okay, oh, you got it. Moving on. So there's different challenges, but I like working. Anytime I'm in the booth, I'm like, yes, I win. I'm in there. So I like them both.
Yeah.
I like them both. Yeah.
So for like series that are still ongoing, like manga, like Blue Exorcist, do you actually keep up with the manga?
I haven't read the Blue Exorcist manga or been able to pick up manga for any of the series, really. Sometimes it's the same, but I feel like most of the time, especially when I talk to people who have read the mangas before the series come out, it veers off in a very different direction. So I don't know if it would help me connect with characters better reading the manga. I would love to pick up some of those, like the light novels for Sword Art. I would love to see what happens, because the story goes on, you know, I think 10 more light novels past where the anime goes. And same thing for Blue Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's totally different. And I don't know why it's like that. You know, maybe budget issues. You know, they're only given 25 episodes to cover something that I feel could be like a Naruto and go 500 episodes and 10 movies, and you know, these things can go on forever. But I haven't picked up any of the manga. I would love to.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll go there next. I do. Well, I started in a style called Tong Sudo, which is a Korean style. It's Chuck Norris style.
That's cool.
I started when I was 5 years old, and that was really my first passion. When I was 10, I started practicing Muay Thai and started competing. So it was like a family event. We would go to different fights around Southern California, and I would compete in full contact matches. I did about 60, 70 of those, and I was undefeated. And
Oh my god, that's cool.
when I was about 15, 16, I moved up to the amateur rankings and started doing some casino fights against adults. And I was doing great. I was undefeated, and then school kept me busy. It started getting more challenging and more challenging, and I knew I needed to put time into school. I had other sort of goals, so I still train in Muay Thai. Actually, this year I've decided to do some more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which this guy does.
I tried to get that's good.
It's intense.
It's
It's intense. I got hurt earlier this year. I dislocated my collarbone, which is not fun. But I'm cool, and I'm training again, and I train other fighters. And I love it. I mean, I really thought growing up that I was going to be a professional fighter. And I used to watch Dragon Ball Z and be like, oh, I want to do that. I want to fly. And all those episodes where like Goku is training in the double gravity and like the 100 times gravity. I was just like, oh, I wish I could do that. Like train in that 100 times gravity.
That's cool.
So yeah, that was my first passion. And yeah, I definitely am still around it. I'll never let martial arts go, and I'm still growing as a martial artip. The jiu-jitsu is a different sort of puzzle than the stand-up fighting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and if you get a chance to try it, I would highly recommend it.
I used to compete in AAU when I was younger.
Very cool.
I actually went to Junior Olympics when I was 12 years old.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it is something that like never leaves. Like I haven't trained in 5 years because of college and stuff.
Yeah.
But I went back to my karate school and I realized, you don't forget it.
Of course.
You just pick it right back up.
Yeah, the second time around, it definitely comes back faster.
Yeah.
So yes, I went to UCLA, and my gym was too far to be there consistently, and school keeps you busy. But when I finished, I went right back to training and right back to learning and staying in shape and teaching. And so I would definitely recommend going back when you're done with school.
For sure.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your favorite lines from Durarara and Sailor?
Sure. I mean, do you have favorite lines? I know. Let's see. So my favorite line, one of my favorite lines of Kita, I already did, the boobylicious. But his first appearance is one of my favorite too. I'll give you 3 choices. 1, Maso Mikita. 2, Maso Mikita. 3, Maso Mikita.
That's so funny. I love him. I love him.
That's Kita in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
Man, favorite line from Sword Art, that's really tough.
Could you do the powering up one where like he's linking into the world?
Yeah, that's a great one. Link start. There you go. Some of my favorite lines from the series are like the screams, but I don't want to blow my voice out, so I can go back to work next week. When we were doing those screams, we would save 15 minutes at the end of each recording session just to scream.
Oh wow.
Like we wanted to make sure we got those screams the right way because they are so intense and so gnarly. I couldn't do them and then go back to dialogue. Like we'd spend those 15 minutes and I would be done. And actually, I have another cool story about Kirito screaming. I was able to meet the Japanese director of Sword Art Online at Anime Boston. And we were sitting at dinner, and I was talking to him about recording, and he said, how's the screaming coming? And I'm like, it's going well. It's, very challenging. And I said, how was it for the Japanese actor when he did those crazy screams? And he said, well, he was screaming so loud that he would get nosebleeds.
Oh my god.
And I knew that some gnarly screams were coming. And so I found that out right before that. So that's what I was facing. Going up against those.
Some mental preparation before that.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I am going to bleed in the booth. So yeah, I can't do those.
Oh my goodness.
That is bad.
Yeah.
Before you watched the anime, so were you happy that Kirito ended up with Asuna as like the Smith, or
Well, hold on. Who hasn't seen it? A lot of people haven't seen it.
I mean, as far as
But everyone,
everyone,
that's a tiny spoiler. I'm so sorry. No, it's all good. That's a tiny spoiler. I mean, it's really obvious that Asuna is like the main girl because you always see Kirito and Asuna like everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
even in the opening.
in the opening, yeah. It's,
I mean,
it's
up to
no
4
spoiler.
episodes.
And the posters and everything. So, without giving too much away, I think she's the best choice for him. I think she's the biggest challenge for him. The rule for Kirito and girls is all girls love Kirito. They'll fall in love with him immediately.
Yes.
It doesn't take long at all. I mean, a 30-minute episode, boom, he's got another girl. Next episode, it's a different girl.
I know, right?
The second he meets them, it's like they fall in love with him.
And he doesn't even want, he doesn't even want it.
Yeah, he's so oblivious. He doesn't even know that it's happening, and girls are falling in love with him.
Yeah.
But I think she's the best match for him. Throughout this series, I mean, she challenges him, and he just looks at her with amazement. Like he's impressed with her. Really, the first time they fight together, he's so just blown away by her, and really the whole show is about him growing and not just caring about himself, but caring about all these other people around him.
Yeah, because he went through a lot in that series.
Yeah.
Like, the people he ended up with, like, they die, like, just right in front of him. It was horrible.
It's not a happy show. No, it's really not a happy show. I mean, it seems like there's these moments that, just suck you in and attach you to a character in such a short amount of time. It's crazy. I mean, it usually takes episodes and episodes to get attached to a character to a point where like you start to get misty and like tear up if something bad happens. But it's like one episode, like a character is introduced and kind of taken off the face of the planet, and it's like, no, that can't happen.
And I think like their mentality
so bad.
This character and they're just going in.
Yeah, and normally it's like, oh, if you meet a character and they're gone, it's like, I just met them, whatever, I don't care. But it sucks you in, and you care about these characters right away.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the show does that, and I don't know if I've seen a show recently that has pulled me in that much. Game of Thrones is good. It's very Game of Thrones-esque, actually, where you think characters are going to be around, and it's like, we can kill these characters like this. They're gone. See ya.
Have you read any books, Bryce?
Read any books of Game of Thrones? No, I watched series though. That's another.
My brother said that it was really good.
Series of books I should pick up.
Each season is more or less each book.
Okay.
So, if you
So can I expect good things in the next season?
I can't tell you.
You can't even imagine.
I don't want to go into it because if I go into it, that's what this is going to become.
Yeah, Game of Thrones with Bryce Papenbrook. I'll pick him up, and then we'll have a Game of Thrones panel where everyone's like, oh my god, what is going on?
It gets better.
Yeah, everybody says it's really good, so I gotta watch
Yeah, I
it.
heard about that too.
Yeah?
Okay, so I have two questions. First of all, like, Durarara is like both of our favorite animes, and it's like my first anime that I really got into.
Awesome.
And so I was just wondering, what was your favorite thing about like recording that? And also I was wondering if you could sign my manga.
Definitely, yeah. I'm happy to sign it. Actually, I have a pen.
Okay, yeah, I can.
And cool, whatever you
Sure.
want.
Better.
I'm happy to sign this for you. Let me sign it real quick. And whenever I sign as Kita, I always sign as Kita the ladies' man. There you go.
Thank you.
So favorite part of recording Durarara? I don't know. I don't know if I can pinpoint one specific moment because I had a lot of fun with Kita. There was a couple times when the teacher, the kind of creepy teacher comes in and he catches him kind of creeping on Henri. Those were good moments. I had a lot of fun with that. And then just the cheesy pickup lines. I mean, I was laughing in the booth like, really? Like, the show was just awesome. I really think it's cool how it didn't focus on one character.
It focused on a whole bunch of characters.
Yeah, it just kind of jumps around. And before that series, I didn't watch Durarara, but I watched Bakano. Yeah, I mean, I told my friend, like, oh, I'm about to work on this series, and he's like, dude, watch Bakano. It's like, it precludes it. It's so cool. And yeah, that was gnarly. And I just hung out with J. Michael Tatum.
Oh yes! I met him.
He's a really cool
he's
guy.
Cool.
He is.
Yeah, really cool guy.
Pretty cool.
And that was cool. After watching that show and then being able to hang out with him. Same thing with Sean. Like, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, Goku's sitting right here. I did panel earlier, and he's just ridiculous. It's
like
so
a great
funny.
feeling.
Yeah. So we'll go here and then there.
I'm probably going to be the only one to mention it, but what were some of your favorite lines and or scenes from Vampire Night?
Vampire Night. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's another great show.
Honestly, really.
So I'm Ido, a vampire with ice powers.
Yes.
And my absolute favorite line is bang.
I want to say this. I think honestly, like, I feel like there was only, and I don't blame you guys, but I think there was only like 2 voice actors who were like perfect. Maybe like 4, but perfect for their part.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I didn't think they, like, I don't blame the voice actors, but I don't think they did like a really, I feel like they could have done a lot better.
Well,
with
did you
the
watch the Japanese first?
I did, and I gave it a chance. I just couldn't, like.
Because I heard like I didn't get to see the show. I've watched a few episodes of it. But I didn't get to see the show before I worked on the project. So all I heard was my Japanese counterpart.
Right.
And it is way up there vocally, like super high. He sounds so young. And I'm just like, I don't even know if I can sound that young, and I sound like I did in middle school. Yeah. It might have even been a woman. I don't know who played that part in Japanese.
Yeah.
I have to look it up.
But
it's just way up there. Did you see it in Japanese?
Yes.
And I was close to what Ido in Japanese did, but there's no way.
I felt like
you
you and like some others just matched the character. It's not even like how they, because every voice actor does an amazing job. Like, but I felt like matching the character, you know, is very important. And like the main characters, I just didn't. I don't know. Like,
yeah, you know, sometimes it's not the actor's fault.
I know.
Sometimes, you know, maybe you're cast into something that you're not perfect for. But from our point of view, you don't even know what you're working on that day. You go in and you see a series that you've never seen before, and you just do your best to adapt to it. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it's not perfect.
Right.
So, you know, I'm sure those actors really tried, and I'm sure they're amazing in other things, but also it's very opinionated, you know, what's good quality and what's not good quality. Because sometimes I'll watch shows and I'll think, well, I didn't really like that. I didn't think that was a strong performance, and then tons of other people say, oh, that's an amazing performance.
That's true.
It's very much like your own ear. You hear things sort of differently than other people do. So sometimes, you know, when people question like, oh, why was so-and-so cast as this part? Well, maybe it's because that voice was perfect with the rest of the cast. And there's an overall picture that the casting director saw, or the director saw, or producer saw that put them in that role. Yeah. So I feel like when I get cast in parts, there's some reason why I'm playing that part. And it's going to add to the show as a whole and make other people stronger and just try to do the best you can and trust that team around you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works for everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes, there's people that'll say, you're not good in anything.
Yeah. Well, me personally, I never blame the actors because I want to be a voice actor and actress or whatever myself. So I know it's not. You just audition and if you get it, you get it. And I know that whole thing. But
Yeah.
I tried to watch a lot of, but I really liked your part. So
Thank
it was
you.
cool.
Thank you.
It's cool.
All right, where are we going next? Was it here? Okay. Oh, and then back there. Sorry.
Could you say this line from Durarara at the end where like they're on this that web chat thing they're on,
Okay, yeah.
and he knows that it's Isaiah, and I remember he was like saying something and he's like, go die.
Oh yeah. So he was just like, go die.
Hurts.
All right.
Two things. One thing, thanks to the interview with Toonami Faithful.
Oh,
I heard it.
Awesome. Yeah, love the Toonami Faithful. Those guys are so cool and have been super supportive of the show, and I love Toonami, so happy to do that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about seeing Sword Art on Toonami?
It's incredible. When I heard it was going to Toonami, it was at Anime Boston that they made that announcement. They didn't tell us before they made the announcement.
I heard in the interview they did with Jeremy,
Uh-huh.
she had no idea as
Yeah.
well. And then as soon as she found out, she just started high-fiving random people.
Yeah.
She didn't know.
I think she was in the room. I had another panel, so I came in later. So she was way up front. I was in the back. But yeah, it's amazing to know that a show is going to be seen by so many people. You do this work, and you never know who's going to watch the show, if it's going to be popular, if anyone's even going to see your work. I mean, you're there in a booth with a couple people that hear you, and sometimes it's 6 months to a year before anyone even hears your work. So there's no real applause. I was talking to Vic Vignana.
I met him.
A convention. It's so cool to go to these conventions and meet these voice actors because most of the time you see them in passing and that's it. So I finally had a conversation with Vic, and I never did stage acting. He did some stage work, and what he was saying is, when you're on stage and you do a scene and you do a good job, the audience applauds. You get applause from the audience. When you're a voice actor and you're in a booth by yourself and you deliver a line that's perfect, nothing. The director says, that was great, moving on. So you don't really get any feedback. But at conventions, you see people that have seen your work and love your work, and this is the applause for voice actors. So it's my first time really getting that, so it's just amazing getting that feedback. And now with Twitter and Facebook, I'm able to get that feedback as the show is on, live. So the live tweeting is so much fun. It's so cool. So whenever Shermie and I are together, we try to do that live tweeting or watch the show, with people to get that energy because it's awesome. So yeah, I jumped out of my seat when I found out it was going to be on Toonami. And I go on Toonami Faithful and I check the ratings to see are people still watching the show. And when it broke 1 million, I was like, whoa, yeah! I was screaming in my house, and my dogs were looking at me what is happening? But it's awesome that 1 million people watch that show and it's on at 2 a.m. That's not a convenient time slot. People are going out of their way to see the show.
I love they brought Toonami back.
Sometimes I would watch at 2 a.m., but because I work during this hour, I would DVR it.
I do the same thing. I mean, it's so tough to stay up till 2 a.m. and sometimes you got a DVR. That's why you love it. That's a great invention, man. Gotta love that DVR.
I'm glad they brought Toonami back.
Yeah.
I was happy too.
I really hope that they keep bringing shows like Sword Art to Toonami, new exciting shows.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Attack on Titan people.
Yeah.
That's another another good show. I'm watching
I
that
mean,
show.
I was
Don't
happy.
tell me what happens. I didn't see the end. Don't tell me what happens. I'm 24 episodes in.
Are you? You're watching it?
Yeah, I'm watching
That's
Attack on
cool.
Titan.
I
More
love
Attack on
that.
Titan.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It's a good
really
one.
good show.
Yes.
And I know Funimation in Texas has that show, so
Yeah, I know.
who knows if I've never been out to Texas. I've never worked for those people, but I would love to go out there and work on that show. They also have another show that I play the lead in the video game. It's called Danganronpa, and I play Negi. And another great show, great character, and they have the licensing. So there's no guarantee that just because I play him in the video game that I'll play him in the anime.
Oh, right.
But I can only hope. Cross my fingers. I keep running into more and more Texas folks, and we'll see if I can get my foot in the door and get out there. Yeah.
Have you ever auditioned for something and you didn't understand like fully what it was, and then you actually were there to record the voice for it, and you realized it was something you did not want to do at all, like just you didn't want to be a part of?
I haven't really had a project that I didn't want to be a part of. I love working. And I mean, obviously, if I showed up and it was something really raunchy or something really, really terrible, I don't think that they would just have me show up and be like, all right, here's this, you know? But no, that hasn't happened to me. You know, I've done shows that have been lower budgets and they push us to work really fast, and the quality hasn't been as good as I'd liked it to. But I look at those as learning experiences, you know, up at bat, and I grow from those experiences. So, haven't had that experience. Yeah, I like working.
I know like Barbarella, Queen of the Universe, that really bad B movie from like the 1960s or whatever. The original actress signed on, read the script, and had to flee the country to avoid her contract. Like,
That's hilarious.
She didn't want to be a part of it so bad she fled France.
That's hilarious. I'm not to the level where I can pick and choose my projects. I have no idea where I'll end up, what project I'll be working on. I read for everything, and if someone hires me, I hope that it's the right fit and they're hiring me for a reason. And I've been fortunate that a lot of my new projects have been really good matches, really good fits. So we'll go here and then there.
Okay. I know I asked what's your favorite line. I know he's my favorite character of all time for Vampire Knight. Like, honestly, he's the favorite. So I can't pick. But what's your favorite scene for Vampire Knight with him in it? Like, I love everything.
Okay.
Honestly.
There's one scene. I'm trying to remember the characters. This is towards the beginning of the series. There's a couple day class students out running around, and two of the night class students, including me, come out, and I think it's where he starts getting into his vampire mode, and his teeth come out. He says something like, "May I partake of your name?" Something like that. That was an awesome scene. There's another scene where he's like collecting all these things from
Chocolates from Valentine's Day?
the chocolates from Valentine's Day. Yeah, all the lady scenes are good.
Where he's asking their blood type.
Yeah, he's just asking their blood type, and she comes up and just blows the whistle. None of that.
Yeah, I know.
Another good scene. I have to watch through that series because I've watched some of it, but I'm like maybe 4 or 5 episodes in and rewatching it again. But I always have some other anime that's like, watch me first.
Yeah.
I'm watching Magica right now.
Yeah! That's good, yeah.
Okay, another one. Don't tell me what happens. Magical girls.
There's a whiteboard game.
Is there?
Yep.
That's really cool.
I'm watching it right now.
So yeah, I'm about 6 episodes into that. Something is gonna happen. I know it's gonna get crazy. But yeah, the director for Madoka is also the director for Blue Exorcist and Sword Art Online.
That's cool.
So he said you gotta watch the show. It's really cool. The twists are insane.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, started watching it. But gotta go back and watch Vampire Knight.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go here and then.
So I had no I knew that you were in Danganronpa a while. That was really great. And I was just wondering if you could say you got that wrong.
as Negi?
Yeah.
Okay, so the game isn't out until 2014, like middle of the year, and I think I delivered that line like, "You got that wrong." That game was fun because if you guys aren't familiar, here's the premise. These super awesome kids are stuck inside a school. And I say super awesome because they're very
Talented.
yeah, they're very talented in their specific types of talents. So there's like a gang leader, there's like a baseball player, and they're stuck in the school and there's this bear, this mono bear that's half white, half black, and it tells them you have to kill each other to get out of here. And not only kill each other, but get away with it. So what happens is in this game is there's a murder, and my character is kind of like an attorney, kind of figuring it out, kind of like Ace Attorney. Ace Attorney. So when I was recording, there would be these big monologues at the end of a murder, like when everything is sort of pieced together, and he goes back and explains everything. Let's go over this one more time. And just goes through like 60 lines in a row, telling every little detail. Because the door was open here, and there was a little bit of fuzz there, and then he moved to this, and then this. And it was so cool because, you know, I'd never seen these lines before. So I was picturing this murder happening and this story happening, and it was just coming to life as I was delivering the lines. So it was like watching a movie. Like, it was so cool, like, picturing like, this happened because this happened. It was just awesome. I can't wait to play the game and see it come together. And I haven't watched that anime. I watched one episode and I'm like, I cannot watch. It was right when it came out, and I was like, I cannot watch this because it's one that you have to like marathon.
Yeah.
So I waited. I think is it all through?
Yeah, it's done now.
13 episodes or 12 episodes? 13?
Wait.
I'm not sure. It's a shorter series.
Yeah, it's not that long.
So now it's time to go back and watch that when Maruka's done.
It's amazing.
All right.
Oh, just Danganronpa is an anime? Or it's a video game, but they're making an anime version?
There is an anime version that has 12 or 13 episodes. That's along the same lines. I think I haven't seen the whole thing.
Like it skips on the characterization a lot. Like it's mostly plot driven. So like in the game, it's not the backstories and stuff of characters.
Of each character, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as involved.
But I would really recommend both the game and the anime. I mean, it's a cool story, and gotta love the bear. I mean, you see it and you're just like, what is this? Oh, it's insane. All right. I think we have time for maybe one or two more. Yes.
What are your favorite scenes from Sword Art Online?
Okay. One that jumps out without, again, spoiling everything. It's in an episode with Silica. He's walking across this bridge and he's being ambushed by all these players, and they're attacking him and literally like slicing him, and he's just walking.
Oh yeah, that's
just
cool.
I remember that part. I was like, you're such a badass.
He's like,
And his HP doesn't go down.
Yeah, his HP doesn't go down at all, and it's literally like Kirito is God.
Like there's no way you could defeat him.
Yeah, there's no, they couldn't even touch him. But there's one guy with 2 axes.
We saw that.
Yeah, if you see that guy, he's like in the back, he's dual wielding. It's like, whoa, you can't dual wield.
Actually, you're the one that called it out. You're like, wait a minute. Like we paused it. We're like, does he have 2 axes?
Yeah.
We're like, we automatically started formulating this whole plot behind why I had it to like say it's not a plot.
Yeah, it could technically work. I think it was like there could only be like 1 or 2 players. Like it's very rare.
The fastest player in the game has the skills.
So that guy was the fastest player in the game at that point. So there we go. That was one of my favorite scenes. Also, without saying, I'm not going to say anything about this, but the very last battle, this part, like the
Oh, I know
I'll
what
say.
you're talking about.
That was like,
That's all the whole.
that felt so good to see that because you hate this guy, this bad guy.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
And it's been announced.
Todd Habercorn.
Todd Habercorn. Yes, it has been announced.
Oh really?
Todd Habercorn
Oh my
plays
God.
one of the bad guys.
Really?
in the
Yeah.
English dub.
Have
And
you seen the whole series?
it's getting close. It's getting close. If you have the Blu-ray,
I've seen
the
everything.
next Blu-ray set will
I
have
noticed one.
There's only 6 episodes left before we hop into the next arc.
the next arc. Yeah, so it's getting close to Todd.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
you hate him. You hate him. Right? The first line he says, you hate him.
That was in the Japanese. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
"Grr."
really hate him.
But that ending with him is crazy.
Yeah,
I
it's,
know.
it's,
I gotta
That's.
see that.
I think that's a really beautiful, just the way.
it's a crazy series.
Yeah.
I love it. I really hope they keep going with it. But again, voice actors are the last ones to know anything, so I'll
Right.
probably find out, if something is going to happen from someone online, like, hey, check this out. That's usually how I find out if things are released or what's going on out there. And I'm the last one to know. Cool. One more? Anyone else have any more questions, comments? One more. Okay, last one.
What is your favorite magical girl?
My favorite magical girl? Well, I'm only 6 in. I'm only 6 in. So I kind of like Sayaka. But something's gonna happen. I know something's gonna happen.
Don't say anything. Guys.
But yeah, like Sayaka. Don't say anything. Well, awesome hanging out, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I have an autograph session with